What's good, guys, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be bringing you the 4-2-2-2 formation guide. I've gone over a few formations so far this year: the 4-2-3-1, the 4-4-2, the narrow formation. Also showed you my custom tactics I've been using. So this is a thing what obviously is recurring on my channel. Every week I try and give you a different formation or different custom tactics what I'm currently using. This week, as I said, I'm going to be covering the 4-2-2-2. So if this is something that interests you, I'm going to be talking to you why it's pretty meta, why it works, what tactics I recommend for it, but also what tactics probably could suit you best. Before we get into it, don't forget to subscribe if you're new around here. Leave a like, leave a comment. I think like 80% of the people viewing my videos don't subscribe, man, and I was very upset when I saw that number. That is a lot of people not subscribed, but you know, if you don't want to subscribe, it's also not a problem. So this is obviously the team to get everything on chemistry. It's 4-2-2-2, but yes, as I said, 4-2-2-2 is a formation, and let's talk about what. Actually, no. Before we get into them tactics, let's talk about what makes 4-2-2-2 good. So, what, in my opinion, this year, what makes formations good is actually the two strikers. Obviously, what you're seeing on your screen isn't who I would play up top, but having two strikers this year is really important because I think how overpowered through balls are. Having that two striker situation and being able to trigger one of them on the run, it's ridiculously good. And then you've also got the wide options and triggering them to make the runs, or they're just making them overlapping runs. Once again, we've got another opportunity to do through ball. So we've got four options really when it comes to the attack path, through ball opportunity. And I think with the new patch that's coming out, I don't know when you guys are watching this, but with the new patch coming out, with step overs being nerfed and a few other things, I think through balls are going to be the most overpowered thing in the game and the most meta thing in the game to do. So I'm trying to give you ideas already for preparing for the new patch. I believe the patch isn't out yet. Hopefully it's out tomorrow because I need to start playing, but for now obviously we're just taking a break until it's actually fully ready to go. Yeah, and that's why 4-2-2 is really good in the attack. Also defensively, we covered up with the 2 CDMs. I think having 2 CDMs on any FIFA, it's not as good this year, to be honest with you, because I think the centre mid CDMs a little bit wayward at times. You know, they're sometimes missing, sometimes they're there. Maybe the patch will sort of sort that when you like cover the lanes. I'm not really too sure, but yeah, is definitely, well, not the sorry, the 2 CDMs is a nice like option to have. And also when we're obviously on defense, the cams will also help the wing backs. So we're kind of like setting up in a quite defensive 4-4-2, like sort of like 4-4-2 second variation. Is how our team sort of defends, but in attack our cams are a little bit more narrow compared to if we were playing a 4-4-2. So yeah, that's what makes the 4-2-2 really good. It's just a very balanced all-round formation, good for the attacking but also good for the defending, similar to the 4-2-3-1, but instead of having a cam, you're having a striker. And as I said, I think two strikers is quite essential this year for the sort of play style people are doing. Defensive styles, of course, we've got balance, press on heavy, press out of possession loss, constant pressure, and drop back. I think we say always, you know, we're not using drop back. We're not that type of players here. We're here to be the aggressor, I would say, be the person in control of the game. And depending how good you are at manually pressing, balance is an option for you. For me, I go balance on that because I'm pretty decent at like the manual pressing, like pressing players in the positions I want. But from what my experience and from what I'm seeing, press on heavy touch and press out the possession loss is really good this year, especially if you can get used to like how the players sort of go in defense. And actually the stamina sort of reduction isn't actually that crazy compared to what it was supposed to have maybe in the patch. So these could be really two good options for you. This is something I'm actually going to experiment myself because I find where I struggle the most is when people press me the most, and that is because I think there's something like with the passing, I'm not too sure, that it actually like goes in the defending favour rather than the attacking favour, but that's something what I've just sort of experienced and so on, and maybe it's just the way I'm playing out of the press. But yeah, press out the possession loss, press on heavy touch, and balance I think are the main three to go for. Width you're looking to do between 4 if you want to have your team quite compact, but for me when I go with 4 and lower, my team's too narrow and I'm always leaving the wings open, and I don't really like that. So width, I've got 5 usually is what I play on. You can up it if you think that maybe you can suit maybe having your team wider in the defense, but I think 5 is quite a nice little balance. You get there. It can go tight, but it can also go wide. Depth, I would say look between to do 4 if you're being a more passive player, 5 if you're just you know, you're not really too bothered. 6 or 7 if you want to be the guy who's like asking the questions, I would say. If you're not too worried, you don't mind the opponent having the ball, go for about a 4 or a 5. But if you're like, you know what, I want the ball, I want to be the guy who's getting the ball early, look to do a 6 or a 7 into your team. So I would probably say, to keep it basic, I'll go 5-4 as the balanced defensive tactics. Offensive tactics, you've got balance, long ball, fast build up, possession. I think you could probably use all 4, I guess. I'm not a fan of fast build up really any years. I don't know what it is. I just don't feel like a lot of times I have the right passes one, and it's probably just because I'm not used to it. But for me, I like balanced because I get a bit of everything. You know, I like the players to go. They can do the runs behind, but also can give me a feet option if I want. Possession, you're always going to get the feet option. But it's quite nice, especially if you're like trying to hold up the game. But as soon as somebody goes pressing, you're like always going to feet. I think the opponent's going to be clamping you up very quickly. So I feel like balance or long ball could be quite a nice little counter to that. But obviously it comes with risk, especially if you're trying to work your way out of the back on long ball. But balance for me is like my favoured one. Attacking width even, I would say probably just keep it basic 5. I've tried a few things. I've seen some people use 6. Some people use 4. And like I said about a defensive width, you know, 5 is the one what's suiting me. It might not suit you. Like maybe you want your team to be a little bit narrow. So what I would notice, particularly with wider formations, if you have your team like attacking width lower, let's say for example 4, when you're in the middle of the pitch, you're like in the attacking third and you've got the ball with your CDMs, you know, you're trying to look for that pass into your striker, or you're looking for the pass out to your wingers. What will happen if you're on attacking width 4? Your wingers will be a lot tighter and sitting in the inside of the fullbacks rather than the outside end coming in. They'll probably be naturally always in the inside position and giving you that option. Maybe that's the thing you want. Maybe you want your team to, you know, your wingers, your cams or your wingers to come in, give you an easy pass into your striker and then make a run. But what happens after you've done that run, it's actually a lot of times the 4 attackers, so your 2 cams and your 2 strikers, will sort of sit on top of each other on the edge of the box, and it's not quite nice spacing. Sometimes you do need to go a little bit wider and stuff, so that's why I go with 5. 6, you don't get that sort of inside run as much unless you trigger it yourself, and I personally kind of like the run to naturally happen by itself. Sometimes you don't need it, sometimes you do kind of want the bait. So I always have the width at 5. But as I said, I've experimented with a few things. Players in the box, you can do whatever you like really. I can't tell you. I can't sit here and be like, this one's the best one. I really can't. I don't really understand it. I'll be totally honest with you, because I see that diagram and that diagram has no relevance to how my team plays. If I have 3, technically my players should be sitting in them positions, but they're not. They are still sometimes going into the box and stuff like that. So it really is something you just have to experiment until you find something comfortable. If you find your team maybe is not doing them attacking runs what you want, maybe up it. But for me, as I said, I ain't got a Scooby. Like I've tried all sorts: 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've tried them all, and they, to be honest with you, most of the time they feel similar, but in the sense of when I'm around the edge, I get different runs if I've got different players in the box, I think sometimes. But yeah, I say keep it basic. Play 5 players in the box or 4 players in the box, depending. If you're being a bit more considerate and you're kind of playing the more possession-based play, I would say maybe go to 4. If you're just like, you know what, bit balanced, a bit of everything, 5-5, I think it's your sweet spot for the attacking side. So very basic tactics. I think this is something what I've said in previous custom tactic videos. This is something I'm trying to do a little bit more this year. When I've changed, like tried to do too much with the tactics, I feel like my team's not, I'm not getting a structure to my team, you know, and when I'm in the attack, they're a bit random. I'm not getting the consistent behaviours what I want. Having consistent behaviours in your attack and your defence just allows the brain to understand where players are going into position. So when you're attacking, things will start being natural, and that's what you want when you're playing FIFA. You want things to feel natural, you know, you want the players to always be there and so on and so on, you know. So yeah, that's why I'm going with basic, balance, you know, keeping it all simple and then changing if I feel like I need to change anything at all. Let's talk about instructions now. I think the key ones are really stay back while attacking on your right back and left back. If you are losing, I think it's really useful to use balanced wing backs this year, and you're trying to do a comeback. I would say this is obviously good for the last 20 minutes or so of the game when you're trying to you're losing and you're trying to do the comeback, but you can obviously your wings are going to be exposed. So the safe option is always to put stay back while attacking on your right back and left back. So you're a little bit more safer, you're not vulnerable on the counter. And as I said, through balls are going to be the meta of this FIFA once this step over patch comes through. So you want to make sure your wing backs are always in position for that defensive sort of behaviour. Obviously, stay back while attacking is simple. And centre backs. Keepers, I see a few people using like cover crosses and stuff like that, sweeper keeper. Haven't experimented with it myself yet, but maybe that's something that I'd look into in the future, especially with Edison. He's quite a fast keeper, so he should be pretty decent at that comfort crosses and sweeper keeper. CDMs, you've got quite a few different things you can do here. I would say the key one for me, and probably for a lot of other top players, is the cover center. This is obviously pretty simple. Your CDMs are going to be covering in the center of the pitch rather than wide of the pitch. So if your fullbacks go attacking, a lot of times your CDM will be the guy who covers into that sort of space, where really all you want to do is manually get that right back and push him back into that right back role and keep your CDM in the middle, because a lot of people like to go into the feet of the striker, try and turn you. So if you have your CDMs in the position, you're going to be in a fairly decent sort of position on the defensive end. Defensive behaviours, you've got man mark, cut passing and balance. I personally go with balance this year. I think it's the best one. As I said, I think the CDM centre mids sort of just go missing this year, so I just keep it on balance. I feel like cut passing, they're just all over the place. Man mark, I don't know what the hell that does really. Like who are they man marking at that point? It's not like I can set them to man mark a certain player, so I just have it on balance. Attacking support, this is something what I change around a little bit here and there, depending on who I'm using. Is what I'll probably use on the attacking support. So, for example, if I'm using Ronaldo and Vieira, I'm probably using stay back while attacking on both of them, because they're probably both suited to more the defensive end rather than the attacking. But you know me, I personally like to have one of my CDMs on the attacking support, so when I'm attacking, I have that extra run from deep. Obviously, if I have stay back while attacking, I don't really get that option as much as maybe I want to. So, that is something you need to consider when it comes to your team. If you want somebody to help you in the attack, if you feel like you need that midfielder from deep coming through, Renato Sanchez, or well, somebody more attacking would be a nice suited option. So a lot of times I either say you want to have like one defensive midfielder and one attacking midfielder, but in the sense of he's a defensive midfielder but can do the attacking sort of role. So like a Bruno Fernandes, Pogba type player. Renato Sanchez probably can do it, but because I'm playing at like the pro level, a lot of times I'm not going to trust Renato Sanchez running through one-on-one with the keeper, so I'd rather have him on stay back. But I think preferably I would prefer, if I had like the right players, the actual team I wanted, I would probably have balanced attacking support on my player. Stay back while attacking on the right CDM. It's usually the more defensive end. So yeah, as I said, you can do whatever you would like. Stay back while attacking, balanced. It all depends on what you want to do. If it was me though, and I'm using this team, if I've got two defensive minded players, stay back while attacking on both. But as I said, probably more suited for me to have one on attacking support as basic. Defensive support on the wide cams. You can do a few things here. Stay forward, come back on defense. I think the basic is probably just to keep it on balance and maybe press with your team rather than sit back with your team, especially with 4-2-2. I think it's just a formation what goes really well with pressing. So yeah, support on crosses is probably the main thing though, really, when it comes to the wide cams. I like to do get in the box with crosses because we all know how overpowered RBXs are or R1 squares are. So if you have that get in the box for crosses, you're going to have them late runs in the back post, going past the opponent's fullbacks for your opponents, for your players to get into and hopefully score a goal for you. So get in the box for crosses is quite a nice one. On the strikers, there's a few things you can do. As I said, through balls are really overpowered this year, so getting behind on both is quite a nice combination. What I'm liking at the moment is having like one on like balance attacking runs and then one on getting behind, so I have a bit of both. So sometimes I do need that option to feed and then also want that person behind making the run. So that's something you need to consider, what you really want from your strikers. If you want them to give you an option to feed and then your wide cams are the guys who's running in behind, then obviously that's something you want to do. You want to have your attacking runs on balance basically. But if you maybe want to go wide and then go into your strikers, you may want to look to get in behind on your into them. But as I said, through balls are really overpowered and something you need to consider to add into your game coming into the future. I think everyone's got through balls into their game anyway. Like literally everyone on Foot Champs is just counter-attack through ball spam. So that is something to consider for your team. But as I said, I would probably look to do maybe a bit of both, depending on your style and so on. But that'd be it for the video, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And peace.